We got a new one. It's an 80 model, and it's got its issues, okay? First things first is, you know, of course, right above the mounting bolts for the body mounts is rusted out. So, but the rest of it, underneath, top of the tunnel, everything else is just really nice. It's in good, solid good. There's no rust other sides. There's a small one over there and this large one over here. And what I use as a template is that's just a folder, a filing folder. And the reason I use filing folders, and I always have with this instead of like a piece of cardboard or just a piece of plain paper, is that this is a little bit more robust, but you can, even though it's robust, you can still get a real nice tight line drawn on your piece of steel that you're cutting out to match it, so that it isn't like, I've had the experience of using cardboard and it always seems to end up big. But so once I switched to using just a file folder paper to make my template with, it usually fits pretty spot on. So right here on the bend, she's feeling from both sides. She's pretty solid. I might have to put a little bit of bend in the middle and just kind of match this here and here. So we're going to go about like this right here. And where's my point? Let's see where we go. I'm going to say about right here. So we're going to cut a patch piece about this big, like that. Okay, now that's a pretty good square, and that's what we're going to use from there to there, pretty much. So I'm going to cut my piece of steel, yeah, about there to there. Good. And then you can just basically pull it off, and you got your inside line for your cut. It's that simple. And so this is your template for your piece of steel. There's your template for your cut on the inside line because you painted both edges. There's no way to mess it up. So let's go over there. We'll cut it. I got an old body pan here that I'm going to use to cut it out of, and then we'll get the cutoff wheel and we'll zip this out and get it removed, get it all cleaned up, and we'll start doing some welding with this. Everybody always has a different way of doing it. I've seen the guys that take the piece of metal and kind of pre-cut the piece of metal and put it on there and tack it down, and then take a grinder and come at an angle and grind it out, or a cutoff wheel. There's several different ways of doing this. This just seems to be, with home tools, the easiest way that I found to get a really pretty close spot on. You might have to grind an edge here and there, or tap it or play with it a little bit, but to get it pretty spot on, 95% right out of the box, which is the biggest part of patch paneling, is getting the piece fitting the best before you start welding. And this saves you a bunch of time. So this is the way to go for me. Okay, piece is cut. All right, real simple. And I got the edges ground off, but I have to put a bend in this about right there for the swoop in the floorboard. It's not a lot of bend. It's about, from this side, it's about that far. Okay, just enough to, all right, now what's the easiest way to do this? Just use the vise. We're just going to use the vise here because it's about the same width as the vise, but we're not going to just put a kink in it because that's not the way the floorboard is rounded, right? So we're just going to put a little bit like that. We're going to move it a little bit, see, like this. And we'll put a little bit like that. And we're going to move it again. Actually, that's pretty close. See, and then we're going to just get this as deep in as we can. We don't even have to get tight. We're just going to move it one more time. All right, then we're going to go in the cab and see what that looks like. All right. But I mean, we're not trying to kink it. We're just trying to, and right? I would say that that's pretty spot on, just by eyeball. Now, once I get the other part cut, I'll start on this end and I'll push it and I'll play with it and I'll get it where it needs to go. But a little bit of extra work to begin time. I mean, just look at that. Look how nice that went in there. Now, I don't know if you know what I'm doing, but what I'm doing is I'm scribing this, okay? Because I know that's the inside of that line is what I want to hit, which is where I ran. Now, I'll go a little bit, I'll move this around and get the sparks out of my ass, but that's just gives me a guide point to finish cutting the way through. Hey, do you guys know about these? I mean, you just saw me do it, okay? These things are the best, okay? They don't fog. They keep you protected. Now, I caught a couple hot ones in the armpit while I was doing that, but having had somebody have to dig a piece of steel out of my eye in the past because I was a welder and grinding, I protect my eyes because I'm 56 now and, you know, I don't get another pair. So these are great. There'll be a link down below for these. I highly recommend them. You know, what good is it going to do if you ruin your eyes if you can't work on your hot rod? Okay, I just want to get you in here and show you what you're kind of dealing with anytime you're dealing with this problem on these floorboards, which they all do the same thing. This truck is 44 years old, and this kind of stuff is happening all the time. Now, she's cut loose, but she's not loose because you're dealing with body welds, spot welds here, 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 and there's one here, and there's one here. And then I don't know what the purpose of this design was, but there's a plate sandwiched on top of the floorboard and then spot welded. And none of this has been treated from the factory this way. These trucks were done as farm implements, basically. That's all they were, farm implements, okay? So you have a basically untreated frame with an untreated plate of steel, and then the floorboard sat on top of it, and then spot welded. Zing, 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 zing. So they all do this because this is just designed to fail, okay? So we're going to take the air cutter, the air hammer, and we'll knock these spot welds out, get this out of the way. We'll clean all this up, throw some paint on it because, you know, if you have opportunity, get in here and get it cleaned up, get some paint on it, spray WD-40 on those bolts on both sides so that when we put the new body mounts bushings on, that they'll both spin out real good. But I will never understand. Do you guys know why they did this? What that extra plate is for above that bolt? That, you know, encapsulated bolt hole right there? You guys tell me. I don't know. I've never understood why they did this, but this is, after being 40 plus years old, all of them do this. Some are 50 plus years old, you know, but that's why I chose this piece of steel, because it's twice as thick as that. So I'm basically going to take that plate of steel out, because this is on both sides. This is done on both sides for its protection, and I'll paint after I get it welded in and everything, inside, upside down, and inside and out. So won't have this problem again. But I don't know why they did that, but it's just, if you're just beginning, I spent 2 years building a 78 model step side, and I had a guy drive several miles, come get it and drive it back home several miles, and it took the whole trip, and he couldn't have been happier. But that's what I build. I don't build concourse correct car show. I build drivers. I build trucks you can enjoy, and he is having the time of his life with that truck, and that's what makes me proud, is that I built something that's solid enough, everything's fixed, and he can just enjoy it. And to tell you the part about how you're going to make a lot of mess when you do this, okay, there's a pile of pieces we took out, and this is what we got left. And like I said, this is the main brace, that right there, that's your body mount bolt right there, and she's got a little bit of rust on this main frame, but we're going to, right here is solid, and the rest of it back here is solid. Like I said, That is all because of this right here. This extra piece of non-treated plate set on top of that, and then this set on top of it, and then it spot welded. I mean, a little bit of primer, a little bit of something, anything in between those two would have saved this from happening with millions of trucks. Okay, but you know, that little bit of paint a million times, that costs money. That's money they saved. But so I got a little bit of, I'm gonna do a little welding and clean this up a little bit and reattach here, and just kind of clean it up while I got access to it, because you know, doing this upside down and in blind holes and trying to do it while you have it open, work it. Okay, now my plate, between my marking and my cuttings and everything, my plate is pretty good. Now I'm going to have to trim a little bit right here just with the grinder, just grind it here. And then I'm going to have to grind a little bit, just a hair, about that much up there in that corner. But this corner is good. So I'll have to trim this corner down a little bit and this corner down a little bit. And then she should pop right in, zipping it in. But we'll start on the bottom and work that way. That way we mimic, you know, the curve of the floorboard. All right, you know, it got it fitting good. Whenever it does want to come back out, I'm going to have to pry it back out, or just leave it in there and just grind it a little bit more on the edges and start welding it in. But that took 10 minutes total. It was a little bit long on this edge, a little bit long on that edge, and just kind of took the grinder and just kind of zip, 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 test fitted, zip, 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 test fitted, until she slid right in. So we'll get the magnets out, and we'll get this now. A lot of guys will say it's just a floorboard. You're going to have carpet over it. You never notice it. But I say, while you're here, if you want it to last, paint inside, outside, clean everything up. Everything underneath there right now is primed and painted. So let's zip this in, grind it up, paint it, and then we don't ever have to worry about it again, ever. Okay, I just wanted to bring you in here and show you. Now, I was a little off here. Cut a little bad, but I was a little off right here with my cuts, but basically she's come right in. I'm gonna have to do some daubage up here and daubage there and daubage there, but she's in and she fits the floor, and there's nothing up, there's nothing down, and this will be, that coating is on both sides. Okay, so this will be protected on the backside, which also threw paint on the backside. So this will be much better than the original. So I'm going to have to do the same thing over there on that one. But this is all that I'm going to have to do on this cab. But that's just, I started from this corner, worked over to that corner, started from there, worked up there, then worked across there, and then worked across top. So I'm going to have to put a little bit of a thump right there because it's a little flat. I don't even know if you notice it once the sound deadener is down and the carpet is in, but still, while you're here, clean everything. Everything underneath is cleaned and painted and primed and painted. So once I get the other side, once I get this stitched in, and you know how it goes, stitch, 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 just work your way around so you don't warp anything. Because even though this is not a body panel, this still will warp. It's same thickness as a body panel, so if you put too much heat, if I tried to stitch that all the way up right now, it would pull it. So stitch, 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 just work around, round robin, get all in, and then grind everything down to where it's flush, and then clean everything up, throw some paint on it so it's protected, let it cure overnight, never have to mess with this again. So that's how you do a patch, not a drop-in like a full drop-in panel, but just a patch. The rest of this floorboard is great. So it just take your time, use your board as your template, cut it out, clean it up, protect it, because if this is like anything that I do, you're going to only have to do this once. So do everything you can while you have access to areas you don't normally have access to. That's all I got to say. So if you're still here, like, share, subscribe, smash that button, hit that bell, tell your friends. Y'all have a great day. Because a great day today could be a rustless floor pan in your hot rod in the morning. Y'all be good.